Hello and welcome to Redcare TV. I'm going to show you how the Redcare Secure Mark III unit will look when it arrives and run through what the box contains. The main box has a label detailing the secure unit serial number. All you need is contained in this one box. In front of me I have laid out the contents of the box. You'll have the following items: the secure unit with connectors, the aerial, sticky mounting pads, quick start guide and the delivery note. The delivery note has the serial number as well as the TA ID, which is important as this denotes the identifier of the service. This number will start with the number 4 and can be found on the top line of the delivery note. The hardware is the same for all grades and signalling types, so this is the same unit you will use for a secure IP, a secure 2 or a secure 3. So let's look at the layout of the new secure hardware. The layout of the board has changed significantly, so I'll take you through it. The unit is now fully enclosed with a large, clear label noting all the connectors as well as listing the key menu options. On the back is the DIN rail connector. This slots onto a standard DIN rail and secures through the snap-down connectors. The power connection is in the bottom left corner and will take a supply voltage from 9 volts to 30 volts. The next block of 4 connectors has a positive rail when linked to the positive of the power input, a 0 volts followed by pin 1 and pin 2. This is repeated on the next 3 sets of connectors, so a positive buzz connection, 0 volts, then pins 3 and 4, and the same again, positive connector, 0 volts and pins 5 and 6, and again to get pins 7 and 8. You then have consecutive pins 9 to 16. These blocks are all removable. At the top right of the board you have the phone line connection, which is not polarity conscious. Next you have connectors marked panel A and B. The unit has a remote switching capability whereby if you needed to get the phone line through to the panel, you can operate an inbuilt bypass relay which will switch the phone line through to these connectors. Next you have the Ethernet connector for secure IP, as well as connecting to the unit for some programming and diagnostics. At the side of the Ethernet connector, you have a small green LED which indicates data on this Ethernet port. Next you have 2 8-segment displays which will show you path status, as well as the signal strength, grade of the unit and any outstanding alarms. To the side of the display you have a RS485 connection and a transmit and receive for an RS232 connection. These can be used for our upload-download service with compatible panels. Our general purpose outputs are located to the side of the RS232 connections. There is a 0 volts, then output 1 which is the line fail output. Output 2 is the control output. The alarm receiving centre can switch this output remotely. Output 3 is the RPS output, which operates in conjunction with pin 4. You now have the added option of configuring 2 of the outputs to indicate separate path failures, one for the wireless and one for the landline paths. The aerial connection is in the top left corner of the board. The SIM card is now located under the plastic cover, and should you ever need to remove the cover, this can be done by inserting a screwdriver into these slots at the side and gently ease the cover off. In this short video, I'll show you how to connect the power and the aerial to the Redcare Secure Mark III unit. You can use a Redcare signal strength tester to determine the best location for the unit. These are available from the Redcare shop, by the way, at btinstallershop.com. The aerial connection is made to this gold connector on the top left side of the board. You know a good connection has been made when you hear a click. Signal strength is shown on the unit when the unit is powered up and a network located. The power connections are labelled on the board here. Connect up the 0 volts and the positive and push the connector in place. If you want, you can link the positive to the first positive bus pin. This will then provide some alternative positive pins here, here and here. I'm going to show you how and where you connect the phone line to a Redcare Secure Mark III unit. The phone line connection is located at the top right of the board. The two wires of the phone line connect to A and B. They're not polarity conscious, but will require a broadband filter when connected to a broadband line. If the line requires a prefix to dial out, for example a 9, this can be programmed via the mode and set buttons on the unit. In this video, I'll talk about the IP Ethernet connector located here. The Ethernet port needs to be connected to a suitable Ethernet network for the Redcare Secure IP service using a Cat5 cable. For most IP installations, a standard Ethernet patch cable can be used. Where cables need to be made, they should be a straight connection. The Ethernet port can also be used to connect to a local PC for advanced unit configuration. This connection may require an Ethernet crossover cable. You can check that there is data present by the green LED next to the IP connector. This does not indicate that the IP path is working, but that data is present on the port. The unit is set to work in DHCP mode, but can be changed to work with a static IP address. This can be configured by a laptop or by using the mode and set buttons. In this video, we are looking at the general purpose inputs, pin inputs. There are 16 pin inputs as standard on the Redcare Secure Mark III unit. These are located here. Please note though, the layout is different from the Mark II unit. Connectors now have standard size screw terminals. Next to the power connector, we have a 0 volts and a positive rail, if connected to the positive of the power input. You then have input pins 1 and 2. It's the same configuration for the next 3 connector blocks. Positive rail, 0 volts, pins 3 and 4. Positive rail, 0 volts, pins 5 and 6. And positive rail, 0 volts, pins 7 and 8. Take care when using these pins to make sure you are connected to the correct input. The next 2 blocks of 4 connections each have the remaining pins 9 to 16. We have some pins that are pre-allocated. These are pin 4, used for opening and closings. The RPS output will operate in conjunction with pin 4. Pin 11 is set at default to work in BSIA Form 175 mode and will generate a test alarm over both paths when a positive voltage is applied to it, providing there are no path failures in operation. Pin 11 can be changed to a normal alarm input by reconfiguring the line fail output using the mode and set buttons. Pin 13 is designated as mains fail and has a 7-minute delay on alarms and restores. This time can be changed when in laptop configuration mode. Pins are set at positive applied to trigger, but can be changed individually or learned all together, and this will be covered in a later video. In this video, we describe the outputs of the Redcare Secure Mark III unit. We have 3 outputs on the Secure unit, and these are located here. Output 1 is the line fault output, and as default is configured to act as a BSIA Form 175 output. This allows the alarm panel to interrogate path faults to determine single path or dual path failure. A typical wiring configuration is shown here. With output 1 connected to the line fail input on the panel, the ATS panel output is then wired to pin 11 on the Secure unit. In operation, the output is normally low when both paths are OK. By default, the output will switch high, following either path fail, once the relevant time has expired. If the ATS input, pin 11, is toggled by the panel during the fail period, then output 1 will either pulse low to indicate a single path failure or remain high to indicate a dual path failure. The unit also supports inverted mode BSIA 175, by learning pin 11 to be positive removed. Output 1 can be configured to operate when both paths fail, either path fails, or to indicate a primary path fail. These modes of operation allow pin 11 to be used as a normal alarm input. Output 2 is the control output by default. That is, the alarm receiving centre can control that relay remotely. Output 2 can also become a secondary path fail output by changing the setting in the onboard programming. In this case, output 1 behaves as a primary path fail output and output 2 as a secondary path fail output. If a relay is required to be connected to either output 1 or 2, it should be noted that the outputs sync current when low and should be wired as follows. Output 3 is the RPS relay, and this works in conjunction with pin 4. The output is normally low, but will rise high when pin 4 is triggered. It will return low when an acknowledged signal is returned to the unit. The active polarity of all the outputs can be inverted on the web console configuration page if required. I'm going to explain how to get into programming the Redcare Secure Mark III unit. The Secure unit is supplied pre-configured with factory default values. For most installations, no changes to the configuration are required. The unit can either be configured by using the onboard mode and set buttons, or through a PC connected directly to the Ethernet port by surfing to the web console page. The button configuration mode is entered by holding down the Mode button, the left-hand button, for 3 seconds. The unit will then display the first menu item, PL, Pin Learn. The configuration mode can be exited at any time without saving changes by holding down the Mode button for 5 seconds. When in the main menu, each press of the Mode button will step to the next menu item and eventually return to the top of the menu. Pressing the Set button, the right-hand button, on any menu item will enter the sub-menu and allow the function to be changed. The structure of the sub-menu will vary depending on the menu item selected. The following configuration changes are possible using the button method. Hold down the Mode button for 3 seconds. This shows PL, Pin Learn. Then press the Mode button to step through the menu. T1. Test Mode 1 allows web console access. T2. Test Mode 2 allows you to send signals over the secondary path. P1. You can change the trigger polarity of individual pins 1 to 8. P2. You can change the trigger polarity of individual pins 9 to 16. F1 switches between DHCP and static mode for IP signalling. F2 is used to enter the static IP address. F3 to enter the IP subnet mask. F4 to enter the default gateway. And F5 to change the tunnel port number. F6 changes the interface combination. So you can change from a GPRS PSTN unit, a Secure 2 or a Secure 3, to an IP GPRS unit, Secure IP. This needs to be done in conjunction with an order from your alarm receiving centre to change the signalling on the Redcare platform. F7. This enables you to add a pre-dial string for certain phone lines. F8 gives you the line fail options. LD enables you to load defaults into the unit, and the 2 question marks allows you to save changes. For configuration that requires changes to be saved, press Mode till you get to the question marks. Then press the Set button. The question marks will flash. Press Set again to confirm. The unit will briefly display PR, which indicates changes are being saved. Then the unit will reboot. Pin Learn and Test Modes 1 and 2 do not require you to go through the Save Changes sequence. In this video, I will show you how to learn the pins on a Redcare Secure Mark III unit. The unit has two buttons adjacent to the 8-segment displays. These are used to program the unit. The left-hand button is the mode button. The right-hand button is the set button. Wire in the pins from the alarm panel you are going to use, making sure they are not in alarm. This includes pin 4, the open and close pin, and any tamper alarm. To make sure you get pin 4 the correct way round, the secure unit needs to learn pin 4 in the closed state. You will need to identify whether your panel has pin 4 high or low when closed, and ensure that this condition is applied to pin 4 when you learn the pins. On power up, the unit will scroll through some numbers. This is the software level of the unit. Press the mode button, the left-hand button, for 3 seconds. The display will now show PL for pin learn. Press the set button, the display PL will now flash, asking, "Are you sure you want to program?" Press the set button again and the unit will briefly display PR. This will read all the pins as their normal state and store this into memory. The unit will now restart. The unit will remember the last state that was learnt after any power down. If you need to relearn again, just follow the same sequence. If you wish to exit the menu before learning the pins, press the mode button for 5 seconds. In this video, I will show you how to enter a pre-dial string of 9 and a pause into the Redcare Secure Mark III unit. The unit is supplied with the necessary free phone numbers to dial the Redcare servers when using the phone line on the Secure 2 and 3. At some sites, it may be necessary to add a pre-dial number to the telephone number, for example a 9 to gain an outside line on a business line. A pre-dial string of up to 8 digits can be configured through the F7 menu. Access the button config menu by holding the mode button for 3 seconds. Repeatedly press mode until F7 is displayed. Press the set button to enter the pre-dial submenu. The first digit of the pre-dial string is indicated by a 1 in the left-hand display. This is currently set to a blank. Repeatedly press the set button to step the first pre-dial digit to the number 9. Press mode to move to the second pre-dial digit. The display shows the second pre-dial digit 2 as a blank. Repeatedly press set to step the second pre-dial digit to P for a 1-second pause. Press M again to move to the third pre-dial digit. The third pre-dial digit is set as a blank. This indicates the end of the pre-dial string. Press mode to return to the F7 main menu and repeatedly press mode again to scroll to the question marks. Press the set button and the question marks will flash to prompt, "Are you sure you want to save changes?" Press the set button again and the unit will briefly display PR as the changes are written to the flash memory. The unit will then restart. At any time, the configuration mode can be exited without saving changes by holding down the mode button for 5 seconds. The unit has now been programmed to dial out with a prefix of 9 followed by a pause. In this video, I will explain the comms fail modes on the Redcare Secure Mark III unit and show you how you can change them. Output 1 on the unit is the comms fail output. The output can be configured for different modes of operation through the F8 button menu. For example, changing the unit to use output 1 to indicate both paths failed. Access the button config menu by holding the mode button for 3 seconds. Repeatedly press mode until F8 is displayed. Press the set button. The display now shows the current setting with 1 in the right-hand segment. Press set to toggle the value to the required setting. 1 indicates the output will be in BSIA form 175 mode. 2 indicates that it will operate when either path fails. 3, the output will operate when both paths fail. And 4 will mean that the output shows that the primary path has failed. Output 2 can then be configured as the secondary path fail through the web console. Select the required option, press Mode to return to the F8 menu, repeatedly press Mode to scroll to the question marks, press the Set button and the question marks will flash to prompt you, are you sure you want to save changes? Press the Set button again and the unit will briefly display PR as the changes are written to flash. The unit will then restart. At any time, the configuration mode can be exited without saving changes by holding down the Mode button for 5 seconds. Just 2 other points to note, that in any other mode than Mode 4, Output 2 acts as a control output switchable by the alarm receiving centre. Also, that by selecting any of the options 2, 3 or 4 will make pin 11 an ordinary alarm input. In this video, I'll show you how to access the unit using a PC via the Ethernet connection on the Redcare Secure Mark III unit. Configure the PC to have a static IP address as displayed here. Connect the PC to the Ethernet port of the Secure unit. A crossover Ethernet cable may be required. Check for the green LED to the left of the Ethernet connector. This should be blinking with the passing of data. This ensures the correct connectivity. Now access the button config menu by holding the Mode button for 3 seconds. Keep pressing Mode until T1 is displayed. Press the Set button to access the submenu and press the Set button to toggle the setting to 1, which enables the web console access. Press the Mode button to return to the main menu. There is no need to save the changes on the unit. The unit will now have a static IP address of 192.168.222.222 for the duration that T1 is set to 1. This does mean that a secure IP unit will be unable to communicate across the IP path while in test mode 1. A comms fail on the IP path will therefore be signalled to the ARC after the normal timeout. Output 1 will also operate after the timeout, indicating a single path fail. This is considered normal. The GPRS path will still function while in test mode 1. For a Secure 2 or a Secure 3, the GPRS and PSTN path, phone line path, will function normally whilst test mode 1 is enabled. Any new alarms presented to pins during test mode 1 can be sent over GPRS or the phone line if required. They cannot be sent over IP. Test mode 1 will automatically exit after 20 minutes, but can manually be set back to 0, off, at any time by the installer. When the unit is restarted, it will also revert to off, for example after clicking on the Save button on the web console. Now you are connected and web console access is enabled. You can open your PC web browser and surf to the address displayed. This will give you the logon screen. Logon details will be given out at our free face-to-face training sessions or from your Redcare account manager. For further details on the web console, please look at the Redcare Secure Installation Guide available to download from the website. In this video, I will talk about test mode T2 on the Redcare Secure Mark III unit. T2 can be used to send all alarms over the secondary path. When test mode 2 is on, then incoming polls on the disabled path will still be responded to by the unit. Therefore, the platform will not normally report a communications failure because test mode 2 is active. Test mode 2 will automatically exit after 20 minutes, but can manually be set back to 0 off at any time by the installer. Access the button config menu by holding Mode button for 3 seconds. Repeatedly press Mode until T2 is displayed. Press the Set button and the display now shows the current T2 state. Press the Set button again to toggle off and on, where 0 is off and 1 is on. Press Mode to return to the T2 menu. The test mode is now active. At any time, the configuration mode can be exited by holding the Mode button for 5 seconds. In this video, I will show you how to set the Redcare Secure Mark III back to factory default. The unit will revert to a standard configured Secure 2 or 3 or a secure IP. Access the button config menu by holding the Mode button for 3 seconds. Keep pressing Mode until LD is displayed. Press the Set button and the LD will start to flash to prompt you, are you sure you want to revert? Press the Set button and the unit will briefly display PR as the changes are written to flash memory. The unit will then restart. At any time, the configuration mode can be exited without saving changes by holding down the Mode button for 5 seconds. In this video, we will go through the boot up sequence of the Redcare Secure Mark III unit. On power up, initially the display will scroll through the software level of the unit. Then we'll immediately attempt to connect to the Redcare platforms. The display will then show SS, signal strength followed by a number from 0 to 32. AL, followed by any numbers indicating any outstanding alarms. The state of the communication paths can be identified by the 2 LED dots on the displays. The dot on the left-hand display indicates the status of the wireline path, and the dot on the right is the status of the wireless path. The dot will be off when the communication path is unavailable. It will flash when the unit is connecting to the Redcare platforms and will be steady when the path has been fully commissioned. The dots will also briefly blink when data is being passed over that link, for example each time the unit is polled or an alarm is transmitted. Additionally, when representing the PSTN path, the left dot will blink to indicate low PSTN voltage. The unit sends a unit restarted event over the first path available, followed by a unit restarted restore within 2 seconds. The unit also sends the state of all 16 pins and the state of the PSTN voltage alarm and low battery alarm. Sending these alarm states at startup help to ensure that the Alarm Receiving Centre alarm handling software reflects the true state of all pin alarms after startup. Once commissioned in its normal working state, as you can see, the unit will cycle displaying the signal strength, SS, pins in alarm state, AL, and grade of service, GD, in 1 second steps. If no pins are outstanding, the unit will display AL followed by 00. Grade of service will only be shown once the unit is in contact with the Redcare platforms. GD02 for a Secure 2, GD03 for a Secure 3 and GD04 for a secure IP. Thanks for watching. Remember there's lots more Redcare videos available on our website redcare.bt.com or on our YouTube channel redcare.bt.com/TV.